Look at me right now. You're doing it. You're certain you're doing it. You'd bet your life on it. I can see, obviously, I can see. What kind of question is that? That certainty. That's exactly what I want to break. Because here's the thing, and I mean this precisely, not poetically. You are not seeing me right now. You are seeing a version of me that already happened. The light that left this screen traveled to your eye, hit your retina, converted into electrical signals, traveled down your optic nerve, got processed through multiple layers of your visual cortex, and then, only then, became something you'd call seeing. That whole chain takes about 80 to 120 milliseconds. Doesn't sound like much, but your brain doesn't say, well, slight delay, let me account for that. No, it backdates the experience. It stamps it now. It hands you a perception and says, this is the present moment, and you believe it completely. Every time. You have never seen the present moment. Not once. Not in your entire life. You've seen a reconstruction. A very polished, very convincing, slightly late version of reality. And what I want to do right now together is look at exactly how that reconstruction works. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you understand it, the world gets stranger and more beautiful at the same time. Let's start with the eye itself, because most people have a model of it that's just wrong. The common idea is light goes in, image comes out. Like a camera, clean, faithful, mechanical. That model fails in almost every way that matters. Your retina, the back surface of your eye where light actually lands, has two kinds of light-sensitive cells. Rods and cones? You've got about 120 million rods. They're spread across the whole retina, they're sensitive to low light, and they're great at detecting motion. But they're not sharp, they're not color capable. They're basically the eye's security camera, always running, catching movement, operating in dim conditions, but not giving you detail. Then you've got about 6 million cones, and almost all of them are packed into a tiny region, a little pit in the center of your retina called the fovea. This is where sharp, colorful, high-resolution vision actually happens. The fovea covers roughly 2 degrees of your visual field. 2 degrees, hold your thumb up at arm's length, your thumbnail. That's it. That's the entire zone of sharp human vision. Everything else, every single thing in your peripheral field, which is basically all of what you think you're seeing, is blurry, low resolution, and nearly colorless. You don't believe me. I know you don't, because right now, the room around you looks detailed and vivid. Look at the wall. Looks fine. Looks clear. Here's the trick. Your eyes are moving constantly. 3 to 5 times every second, your eyes make these rapid, jerky little jumps. They're called saccades, repositioning the fovea onto whatever your brain wants a clear look at. And during each jump, your visual processing actually pauses. You're essentially blind during saccades. And then your brain takes the series of sharp snapshots and stitches them together into one seamless, continuous movie. The seamlessness isn't real. It's manufactured. Your brain is doing the editing, and it never shows you the cuts. So the eye doesn't send the brain a picture. It sends something much more compressed than that. Edge signals, contrast maps, motion flags, color gradients in the center, basically nothing useful at the edges. And the brain receives this incomplete, partial, low bandwidth signal and builds a picture from scratch. Every moment, without pause, without telling you. Now here's something you can actually test right now, and I want you to try it. Your eye has a blind spot. Not a figure of speech, an actual physical region of your retina where there are 0 photoreceptors. None. This is where the optic nerve, the cable that carries all the signals from your eye to your brain, punches through the back of the retina and exits. Right there, at that exit point, there's no room for photoreceptors. So there aren't any. This blind spot is roughly 5 to 7 degrees wide. To put that in perspective, hold up your fist at arm's length. That's about the angular size of your blind spot in your visual field. A fist-sized hole in your eye, right now, and you've never seen it. Not a dark patch, not a blur, nothing. Your visual field appears complete and unbroken in every direction, and there's a fist-sized region where you are literally, physically detecting 0 information. So what's there? What fills in that space? Your brain fills it in. It samples the surrounding texture, the color, the pattern, the gradient, and it invents content. It constructs something plausible, something consistent with what's nearby and places it there, seamlessly, automatically, with 0 notification to you. If you're looking at a brick wall and the blind spot falls on part of that wall, your brain draws bricks. If you're looking at a blue sky, your brain paints sky. If there's a person standing in your blind spot, your brain either fills them in or erases them depending on the context. And you never know. This isn't an edge case or a weird quirk. This is how vision works at its core. The brain is not a passive recorder. It's an active generator. It's not receiving a picture, it's constructing one constantly. And the blind spot just makes that construction visible once you know to look. You want to find it? Close your right eye. Focus your left eye on a fixed point slightly to the right of center. Now slowly move something, a finger, a pen, from the far left of your visual field towards center. There'll be a point where it vanishes, not blurs, vanishes. That's it. That's the whole. What you see when it disappears isn't darkness. It's whatever your brain decided should be there instead. Color is the next place where things get strange, really strange. I want to say something that sounds like philosophy, but is actually physics. The physical world does not contain color. Not color is in the eye of the beholder in some vague artistic sense. I mean this as a factual, precise statement. Go outside and look at a red apple. Measure the light bouncing off it. What you'll find is electromagnetic radiation with a wavelength of roughly 700 nanometers. That's what's physically there. A wave, an oscillation in an electromagnetic field. It has a frequency, it has an energy. It does not have redness. Redness is something your nervous system does. Here's the mechanism. You have 3 types of cone cells. They're called S, M, and L cones for short, medium, and long wavelengths. When light hits these cones, they fire electrical signals at different rates depending on which wavelengths are present. Your brain receives those 3 streams of signals, compares them, and assigns a color experience based on the ratios. The redness of red is the name your brain gives to a particular ratio of cone activations. That's it. That's the whole story of color from the physics side. A physicist can write out everything happening at 700 nanometers. The energy, the momentum, the wave behavior, the quantum interactions with the photoreceptor molecules. And the word red never needs to appear. It's not hiding in there waiting to be found. It genuinely isn't there. Now think about what this means. Every other animal with eyes has its own set of photoreceptors, its own ratios, its own color vocabulary. Dogs have 2 types of cones instead of 3. They're roughly red-green color blind by human standards. Bees have 3 cone types too, but shifted into a different part of the spectrum. They can see ultraviolet light that's completely invisible to us. And mantis shrimp, this beautiful, absurd creature in the ocean, has 16 types of photoreceptors. 16. We have no idea what their color experience is like. We genuinely can't imagine it. Our color world, vivid as it feels, is one narrow, specific translation of the electromagnetic spectrum, tuned by evolution, adequate for survival. Not the truth about light. There is no true color of anything. Color is a conversation between a nervous system and a wavelength, and every nervous system negotiates that conversation differently. The flower doesn't know it's red. It just reflects 700 nanometer light. You made it red. You did that. So here's where the model most people have completely breaks down. The intuitive model of vision goes like this. Light enters the eye, the brain processes it, and then you see. Input, processing, output, passive reception. Like a microphone picking up sound. That's not what the brain does. Not even close. Your visual cortex, the region at the back of your brain that handles vision, receives 2 very different kinds of signals. First, there are the signals coming up from the retina through the optic nerve. Second, there are signals coming down from higher brain regions, from memory, expectation, attention, prior experience. How many more of the second kind are there compared to the first? Roughly 10 times more. 10 to 1, top down to bottom up. Prediction to input. What this means is that before any light even reaches your visual cortex for processing, your brain has already generated a detailed prediction of what it expects to see. Your brain is constantly running a model of the world based on context, memory, habit, and prior frames, and when visual input arrives, it's mostly being used to check and update that prediction, not to build perception from scratch. If the incoming data roughly matches the prediction mostly wins. You see what you expected. This isn't a flaw. It's an extraordinary design. It makes perception fast, stable, and energy efficient. Your brain doesn't have to rebuild the world from zero every 100 milliseconds. It keeps the model running and patches it when something unexpected happens. But it means you are not seeing what's there. You're seeing what your brain predicted would be there, corrected slightly by what's actually there. Optical illusions are not tricks. They're tests. They're moments when the prediction engine is exposed, when the brain's expectation so thoroughly overrides the incoming data that you cannot make yourself see the physical reality, even when you know exactly what it is. Take the checker shadow illusion. Two squares on a checkerboard, one in light, one in shadow. They look like different colors, different shades. One looks clearly lighter, one clearly darker. But if you measure them, and I mean actually measure the pixel values, they are identical, exactly the same gray. Your brain sees the shadow, recalls everything it knows about how shadows work, decides that a square in shadow which appears mid-gray must actually be a lighter square, applies a compensation correction, and hands you a perception in which the two squares look different. You can know all of this. You can stare at it for an hour. The illusion doesn't break, because the knowledge is in one part of your brain and the visual correction is happening in a different part, faster, lower down, before the knowledge gets to weigh in. You are not watching reality. You are watching your brain's best running guess at reality. Updated constantly, mostly accurate, and completely inaccessible to conscious override. Now, everything I've told you so far is actually the easy part. The retina, the saccades, the blind spot, the color construction, the predictive processing, all of that is mechanism. It's complicated, it's fascinating, and we understand it reasonably well. We can describe the circuits, trace the pathways, measure the signals, map which neurons fire when. We've earned the right to feel good about knowing all that. But here's where science, as it currently exists, hits an honest wall. We can trace every photon from the moment it leaves a screen to the moment a neuron fires in your visual cortex. We can map, with extraordinary precision, which patterns of neural activity correspond to which visual experiences. We can build systems that mimic parts of visual processing. We can do all of that. We cannot explain, not even a little bit, not even in principle, why any of it produces experience. Why is there something it feels like to see red? Not what happens in the brain when someone sees red. We're getting pretty good at that. But why does that process, those electrical signals, those neural patterns, why does any of that feel like anything? Why isn't it all just computation happening in the dark, with no inner light, no quality, no experience? This question has a name. It's called the hard problem of consciousness. The philosopher David Chalmers gave it that name, and the hard is not casual. It's distinguishing it from what he called the easy problems, which are the mechanistic questions about how the brain processes information, integrates signals, produces behavior. Those are hard in the ordinary sense, complex, difficult, requiring decades of research. But they're problems you can at least imagine solving with enough data and theory. The hard problem is different in kind. Even if you had a complete map of every neuron, every synapse, every firing pattern in a human brain, even then, it's not obvious that you'd have explained why there's any experience at all. You'd have described the mechanism beautifully. You wouldn't have explained the light on the inside. Philosophers call the subjective qualities of experience qualia, the redness of red, the sharp cold of ice water, the specific texture of the feeling of a late afternoon in autumn. These qualities, the what it's likeness of experience, we don't have a physical theory that generates them, predicts them, or explains why they exist. Not one, not even a promising sketch of one. I can tell you every neuron that fires when you look at a sunset. I can describe the wavelengths, the cone activations, the cortical processing cascades. I cannot tell you why that produces something you'd call beautiful. I can't even tell you with certainty that it produces anything at all in the sense of inner experience, rather than just very sophisticated information processing that outputs the word beautiful without any feeling behind it. That's unsettling. I know it's unsettling, but I think it's more honest than pretending we've got this figured out. We don't. So let's pull back now, really far back. You are a physical system. Neurons, chemistry, electrical fields, 86 billion cells talking to each other through electrochemical pulses. By all the physics we know, you are matter, organized matter, spectacularly organized matter, but matter. And somehow, through some process we can describe mechanically but cannot explain fundamentally, this physical system generates a private universe. Not detects, not records, generates. Color that doesn't exist in the light, sharpness that doesn't exist across most of your visual field, continuity that doesn't exist in the flickering saccades, presence that doesn't exist in the millisecond delays. A seamless, vivid, stable world produced moment to moment by a system that's working with incomplete data, constant prediction, active fabrication, and a blind spot the size of your fist. And here's the thing that genuinely gets me. The amazing part isn't that vision is flawed. The amazing part is that it works. That out of all that, the delay, the hole, the guesswork, the low resolution edges, the invented colors, the predictive overriding, out of all that compromise, you can navigate a room in the dark. You can catch a ball thrown at your face. You can recognize someone you haven't seen in 20 years from a half-second glimpse in a crowd. You can fall in love with a particular quality of light at 5 p.m. in October. How? How does that work? How does a system built on reconstruction, prediction, and fabrication produce something that feels so immediate, so intimate, so undeniably real? I don't have a final answer. I want to be honest about that, the way I always want to be honest about the edges of what we know. But here's what I think is true, and it's not a small thing. You are not a passive witness to reality. You are its author, at least the version of reality you'll ever actually know. Every moment of your conscious life, your brain is writing the world you live in, drawing the colors, filling the holes, predicting the shapes, constructing the present from signals that are already past. Physics gives us the waves and the frequencies and the neurons and the pulses. That's real, that's important, that's the foundation. But the world you experience, the one that feels like this, that has warmth and color and depth and meaning, that one is made, built by you, out of raw physical signals, sculpted by 4 billion years of evolution, processed in milliseconds, and handed to you as reality. And the astonishing thing is that you've been doing this your whole life without noticing. Every sunset you've ever seen was painted by your brain. Every face you've ever recognized was reconstructed from incomplete data. Every color that's ever moved you, that blue of a deep lake, that specific orange of fire, was a translation your nervous system invented and that no one else experiences in exactly the same way. Not exactly, not precisely. The wavelengths are the same. The experience is yours alone. I've spent my life in physics. I believe in getting things precisely right, in describing mechanisms carefully, in not adding mystery where the mechanism is enough. But I also think the most honest thing I can say, after everything I've just walked you through, is this. We have gotten very good at describing what happens when you see something. The photons, the retina, the optic nerve, the cortex, the predictions, the filled-in blind spots, the constructed colors. We can describe all of that. We still don't know what it is to see. Not really. Not in the deepest sense. Not the part where the signals become experience. Not the part where the mechanism becomes a world. And I find that I really do. I find that wonderful. Not because mystery is comfortable. It isn't. It's a little vertiginous, actually, once you sit with it. The idea that the world you're living in is a construction, that the solidity and vividness of it is produced rather than received, that can feel strange. But think about what it means from the other direction. It means you are not a passive screen. You are not a camera bolted to a skull, recording what's out there. You are something stranger and more active than that. You are a system that reaches into incomplete, ambiguous, millisecond-delayed physical signals and makes a world out of them. A world rich enough to live in, detailed enough to navigate, beautiful enough sometimes to stop you cold. That's not a limitation. That's the thing you are. Look at your hand. You're seeing it right now. Or rather, you're seeing the version of it your brain constructed from the signals your eyes sent 100 milliseconds ago, filled in at the edges, colored by 3 types of cone cells, each doing their own small mathematics, stitched together from a series of saccadic snapshots and handed to you as your hand right now. And it looks like a hand. It looks like your hand. Is that what seeing is? Or is it just the best story your brain knows how to tell? I think those might be the same question. I'm just not sure we've answered it yet.